Hey YouTube, it's your boy Big Boy Snatch on TV, aka what kind of snatch you want, because I got plenty going around. As you can tell by the title of the thumbnail in the video, this is my AEW Dynamite review on highlights. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys please make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and watch the entire video from the beginning towards the end. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more of the content that I do on the channel. Go check out my WWE NXT review on highlights. And that's all I gotta say. Follow my social media down below in the description. Let's get started. Now, AEW Dynamite was a fun show for what it was, and that's all I gotta say. It said we kicked the show off with Tony Schiavone introducing the AEW World Champion, bringing up a familiar mixed reaction for MJF as the champion makes his way to the ring. MJF brags about the life he lives, including his hot wife and the fact he has the Triple B, before running down those who claim to be the world champion, saying the stuff coming out of their mouths is the same coming out of their you know what. He says this is the year of the double, ain't nobody on his level. Brody King seems to disagree as he makes his way to the ring to confront the champ. He talks about not stopping to what MJ is, and that is a little you know what. This gets a chant in response as Brody King talks about not putting his hands on MJF because it would cost him what he really wants, which is a shot at the MJF and the title right now tonight. MJF offers to think this over after complete silence, which just gets boos before saying no, and not because he's afraid of Brody King. That's ridiculous. These fans bark along with Brody King, and that makes sense because it reminds of the phrase "all bark and no bite." He says that Brody King doesn't have ground to challenge after once facing tomato cans, jabronis, and jobbers, and tell Brody King he needs to beat elite talent before he can step up to the champ, or else they're gonna have problems. That last word trails off as Brody King managed to intimidate the champ, forcing him to provoke as he claims he has a lot of business to deal with tonight before leaving the ring. We cut to a video package highlighting last week's Maximum Carnage before heading backstage, where the new trios champ talks each other up ahead of Just Be singles battle later tonight. As a matter of fact, we head to ringside for our opening match as Samoa Joe makes his way out to face Speedball Mike Bailey. The latter makes his entrance for this match and gets on the way. Excuse me. So we get the first match, Samoa Joe versus Speedball Mike Bailey, and this match right here, this was a good match in my opinion. So that's all I gotta say. The two lock up Samoa Joe and Just Speedball to the corner. Bailey fights back using his speed to take Samoa Joe off his game with a flurry of strikes before sending the former world champion to the outside. But Samoa Joe intercepts a dive with a hard chop, sending Speedball down hard. Mike Bailey is struggling as Samoa Joe brings him up to his feet, but Speedball turns it around and land a moonsault. He brings Samoa Joe back into the ring as the Ops comes down to the ramp. Bailey pays them little mind as they slide into the ring, only for Samoa Joe to send him over the top rope and to the floor, distracting the referee, and his boys lay into Speedball with stomps before sending him back in the ring. Samoa Joe continues to attack, only to send Bailey right back out as we go to commercial break. Back from commercial break, excuse me. Back from commercial break, Samoa Joe is still in control until Speedball dodges him in the corner, landing a drop kick for a 2 count. Samoa Joe fights back, but is met with another kick as Bailey heads up top for a shooting star press, but it's only get a near fall as Samoa Joe kicks out. Samoa Joe rolls towards the apron for a breather, but Mike Bailey takes the fight to him there before breaking free of a suplex to sweep Samoa Joe's legs out from under him. Samoa Joe lands on the apron, but dodges a knee drop from Speedball before rolling back in the ring. As the referee checks on him, Shibata gets an opening to beat down Bailey with a suplex onto the apron before sending him back into the ring for more punishment from Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe continues to wear Speedball down, focus on the legs as he mocks Bailey. Samoa Joe lays in a few more kicks before Bailey checks in with the referee. Before Samoa Joe locks in a leg hook until Bailey gets to the ropes for the break. Mike Bailey struggles to his feet as Samoa Joe goes back after him, only for Speedball to channel his inner Karate Kid for a crane kick. Shooting star knee drop gets him a 2 count. Bailey in the corner as he lands a spinning kick hook distracts Bailey long enough to stop an ultimate weapon, but counters in a coquina clutch into a near fall of his own. He goes back up top, but is distracted by Shibata this time as the referee is dealing with Hook, and this allows Samoa Joe to hit a muscle buster for the win. The winner of the match by pinfall, Samoa Joe. This was a good match, what it was. Samoa Joe celebrates as we see MJF watching from the backstage before commentary hypes up the lineup ahead of us tonight. Up next, we have a street fight between the Death Riders and Don Callis family. Alright, so we go to commercial break. We head back to ringside as the Death Riders enter the ring. We head back to the ringside as the Death Riders enters through the crowd. Hex and Cyril, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero make their way out, only for the Death Riders to go after them to get this street fight underway. So we get the second match. So we get a street fight. Death Riders, John Moxley, Daniel Garcia, and Real Yuto versus the Don Callis family, Hex and Cyril, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero. This was a fun street fight match to watch. It doesn't take long for the fight to spill in the crowd. A split screen showing that Daniel Garcia is laying in Hex and Cyril as John Moxley faces off with Lance Archer. Real Yuto gets taken down by Romero, who gets after Daniel Garcia to no avail as we see John Moxley and Lance Archer back in the ring. The Murder Hawk Monster takes a series of punches in the corner from John Moxley as Real Yuto and Daniel Garcia join him in the attack. Lance Archer starts to fight back only to be sent over the top rope to the outside. Real Yuto follows him to the outside, but takes a choke slam by Lance Archer, sending him through the timekeeper's table. John Moxley blindsides Lance Archer, but is sent to the barricade as the family takes control, heading into a commercial break. Back from commercial break, the Don Callis family set up a trash can over Daniel Garcia to continue to beat down, with John Moxley still trying to fight back. He gets to his feet, landing some forearm strikes before the family gang up on the Continental Champion. They send John Moxley to the corner and prop the trash can up against him, but he throws it at Hex and Cyril to get back in the ring. So, John Moxley John Moxley goes at it with Lance Archer now, only to be laid out as the Murder Hawk Monster leaves the ring to grab a table from underneath. He props that against the corner as Maurice Fear stares him down, and the two go face to face before Lance Archer looks for a chokeslam, only for Maurice Fear to counter into an armbar. He lets go of her, and Maurice Fear holds him down, allowing John Moxley to hit a cutter. Lance Archer ends up on the table in the corner as John Moxley charges at him, but Lance Archer counters, spinning John Moxley around before driving him through the table instead. Lance Archer back on his feet as Daniel Garcia fancies himself a fellow host looking for a chokeslam, but this turns out to be a Rules as Wheeler Yuta runs him down with a bazooka knee. Hexencer Romero slide in, going after Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia with ambitional stretches before the Death Riders turn it around on them. Lance Archer is back up and takes them out, but John Moxley takes control before bringing Glass into the picture. Unfortunately, the old adage applies as he who sets it up must take it, and gets dropped with a chokeslam onto the glass by Lance Archer. Lance Archer goes out to Wheeler Yuta on the outside, but is met with a crush and attack by a returning Punk. Claudio Castagnoli joins in before they send him into the electric setup, with sparks flying as Hexen Zero comes in looking to intervene. He gets taken out with a low blow by Maria Shafir as we see John Moxley going after Romero with a bulldog choke. Just as Rocky Romero nearly breaks free, Daniel Garcia chances in a Dragon Slayer on him, and John Moxley puts the final nail in the coffin with a curb stomp. Rocky Romero is out cold, and the referee calls for the bell. The winner of the match by submission, the Death Riders, John Moxley, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta. This was a fun street fight match to watch, and it was physical at the same time. The Death Riders leave the ring with Maria Shafir holding a mic up for John Moxley as he tells Don Callis, "Tell your boy to come find me," before they exit through the crowd. Commentators hype up our next match as we see FTR in action against Jordan Oliver and Alec Price up next. So we go to commercial break. Backstage, we hear from Nakala, who tells Chris Statlander she's giving the champ 1 week to pretend the Toxic Spider is intimidated before she gets her shot at the Women's World Champion next week. The rest of the Triangle addresses Will Nightingale as Julia Hart wants a crack at the TBS title on Collision. The caller says if they want a taste of the Toxic, they can drown in it. And she spits as AEW Dynamite rolls on. I already know that what's the name is gonna retain the TBS championship. Willow Nightingale is gonna retain the TBS championship at Collision. Alright. Back at ringside, Alec Price and Jordan Oliver make their way out for their debut after signing with AEW. Stoke runs the pair down for ringside before FTR make their entrance, and this match gets on the way. So we get the third match. So we get FTR, Dex Harwood, and Cash Wheeler versus Jordan Oliver and Alec Price. And this match right here, this was a average match. Alright, we start off with Cash and Oliver, with Wheeler quickly taking control of the match before Alec responds with a cradle for a 2 count. Cash is not pleased by that as he sends Jordan to the corner for some strikes of his own. Tag made to Alec Price, and FTR gets sent out of the ring for a dive from their opponents. FTR retreats to the opposite side, but this allows Oliver to tag back in. Dax tags in to go after him before Price and Oliver takes him off his game, allowing for a near fall by Jordan. Alright. Dax catches Oliver with a right hand before taking out Price and sends Jordan to the corner. Things breaks down as Price and Oliver go back on the attack, nearly taking Harwood down for the win before FTR responds with a shadow machine to take the victory. The winner by pinfall, FTR. This was a average match, what it was, and that's all I gotta say. FTR celebrates as we cut backstage, where Chris Statlander and the Babes of Wrath have a response to the Triangle of Madness. Chris Statlander looks to accept the challenge of the Kala, and Willow Nightingale will take on Julia to defend the TBS title. Harley Cameron confirms that she will also be there. The base of rap they have, as Chris Stanlander puts it, on the titles that the Triangle want. With that, we get confirmation of the matches for this Saturday on AEW Collision for the TBS title, followed by the Women's World Championship being defended next week on Dynamite. Back at ringside, Kenny Omega makes his entrance before the Don Callis and Josh Alexander blindside him. Josh Alexander continues to attack as Don Callis heads to the commentary, but Kenny Omega turns it around to send Josh Alexander into the barricade, and then the ring as this match gets underway. Excuse me. So we get Kenny Omega versus Josh Alexander, and this match right here, I ain't even gonna lie. This was a decent match in my opinion. And that's all I gotta say. Decent match. Kenny Omega continues to take Josh Alexander to task with Josh Alexander on the apron as Kenny Omega runs for a kick, but Josh Alexander catches him with a suplex onto the apron, slamming him onto the hardest part of the ring to regain control of the match as we go to commercial break. We're back from commercial break. Josh Alexander continues to lay into Kenny Omega for a cover, but Kenny Omega gets his foot on the bottom rope to break the pin. Josh Alexander brings him up top before sending Kenny Omega hard for a close 2 count. Kenny Omega escapes the ring as Josh Alexander follows close behind, and the fight is stopped at the spot where Josh Alexander pulled the patent off previously, where Kenny Omega lands a Snapdragon suplex, sending him onto the concrete. Kenny Omega continues the attack before bringing Josh Alexander back into the ring, going up top for a missile dropkick and a modified neckbreaker for a 2 count of his own. Kenny Omega goes for a V-trigger, but is intercepted by Josh Alexander, who suplexes him onto the floor. Don Callis looks over at Kenny Omega, but is confronted by the referee as Kenny Omega slowly gets back to his feet. Josh Alexander goes after him in the 2 trade strikes. This ends with Kenny Omega slamming Josh Alexander against the announcer table until Don Callis confronts him again, only to be chased off into the crowd by Kenny Omega. Don Callis clears out as Kenny Omega heads back into the ring, only to be intercepted with an ankle lock by Josh Alexander, who slams it against the ring apron before sliding back into the ring from the other side. Kenny Omega struggles to get back onto the ring apron before Josh Alexander goes after him, eventually landing a running crossbody to the back of Kenny Omega and sending him to the floor. He takes Kenny Omega back in the ring before checking on Don Callis, but gets caught with a V-trigger when he comes back. Kenny Omega gets a 2 count off this before landing a one-winged angel to finish the job and takes the win. The winner by pinfall, Kenny Omega. This was a decent match for what it was, but I'm glad Kenny Omega won. I had to take a sip more water because I needed it. Kenny Omega celebrates as we see MJF watching from the back. Kenny Omega asks for a mic to address Uncle Don as he talks about what Don Callis has had done to him over the past several months, before saying in front of his new home from Orlando that he never felt better. There's not one member of the Don Callis that can beat him and stop him from winning back the world championship. He loved to talk Don Callis' ear off, but he must bid him adieu. So good night, mwah, and goodbye, bang. Alright. Kenny Omega music hits as he heads up the ramp. So we get a technique by Taz is back, breaking down the Maximum Carnage match between MJF and Bandito for the AEW World Championship. Focus on the champ going after the shoulder and neck of his challenger for the win, thanks to a bell lock. So we go to commercial break. Alright. We head to ringside as Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford make their entrance for our next match. Timeless Love Bombs head out as well, but go right after Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford to get this match on the way. So we get the next match. So we get Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Timeless Love Bombs, Toni Storm and Maria Shakara. And this match right here, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I might as well say this match. Excuse me. I might as well say this match was pretty good for what it was. We eventually start off with Megan Bayne and Toni Storm with the former world champ taking Megasis down long enough for a tag to Mina Sakura. They go after Megan Bayne but are laid out with a double close on before Megan Bayne sends Toni Storm out with a fall away slam and hosts Mina up to send onto her lover for good measure. Megan Bayne firmly in control here as Toni Storm checks on Mina on the outside, and Megan Bayne taunts the crowd as the referee counts continues. Alright, Timeless Toni Storm helps Mina to her feet, only for Megan Bayne to send Penelope Ford over the top rope onto them. Timeless Love Bombs are down on the floor. The referee checking on them as we go to commercial break. Excuse me. Back from the break, Megan Bayne takes Mina to the mat for a near fall before bringing her to the corner. She stares down Toni Storm, who shouts, "I hate you," and Megan Bayne pays up to this by making Mina down with a German suplex. Mina managed to fight back from the corner for a missile dropkick, crawling over to the corner for a hot tag to Toni Storm. As Penelope Ford tags in as well. Drop kick from the former world champion, who keeps on the attack with a high boot followed by a German suplex. She lands an elbow Megan Bayne in the corner before charging at Penelope Ford with a hip attack. A double team with Mina is cut off by the Megasis, only for her and Penelope Ford to get knocked to the apron for a double hip attack. Excuse me. Sending them to the floor, where Mina follows up with a assisted drop from the top turnbuckle. With the fight back in the ring, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford take control as the ladder is launched onto Mina Shakara for a cover before Toni breaks up the pin. Toni takes out Megan Bayne as Mina lands a spinning backflip on Penelope Ford, but a figure four leg lock is stopped by a running lariat from Megan Bayne. The pair lands a doomsday device on Mina, and Penelope Ford gets the win as Maria Shafir keeps Toni Storm from getting back in the ring. The winner by pinfall, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And this match right here, this was a pretty good match. What it was. Maria Shafir flips off the crowd, showing that whatever is going on with her Death Riders hasn't stopped her from being pals with Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford as commentary looks ahead to the big matches for Collision and then next week. But up next is our main event. Swerve Strickland faces Kevin Knight. Alright, so we go to commercial break. There has been enough talk. It's time for your main event. Let me take a sip more water before I read this. Before I read the next match. We head to ringside as Swerve Strickland makes his entrance. Commentary acknowledges the passing of the man, knowing a prophet who was a producer on this, and Swerve Strickland previously deemed. Swerve Strickland notably dedicated the match to him as the former world dedicated the passing of the man of a man known as Prophet, who was a producer on this, and Swerve previously stated Swerve Strickland normally dedicated the match to him as the former world champ entering the ring. And speaking of world champions, MJF is up in the stands watching on as Kevin Knight enters to get this match on the way. So we get the main event of the evening. So we get Swerve Strickland versus Kevin Knight. This match was fantastic to watch. The two lock up, Swerve Strickland taking control as he sends Kevin Knight to the corner. Swerve Strickland stays on the attack before Kevin Knight responds by taking his opponent to the mat. Swerve Strickland responds with a single leg before hitting the ropes. Only for Kevin Knight to drop him with an arm drag before transitioning onto an arm bar before Swerve Strickland breaks free. He leaves the ring for a breather, only for Kevin Knight to catch him with a crossbody, sending the former champ to the floor. Kevin Knight brings him back in the ring for a forward splash into a crossbody before mocking Swerve Strickland by hitting the gritty. Swerve Strickland responds with a chop that sends Kevin Knight to the outside. Excuse me. Swerve Strickland follows him out of the ring, but takes a missile drop kick from the Jet, as we see MJF watching on before heading to commercial break. So it says we're back from the break. We see Swerve Strickland regaining control as he takes Kevin Knight down hard before doing the gritty and infringing a free throw. He goes after the legs of Kevin Knight before Kevin Knight fights back to his feet. Swerve Strickland calling for his opponent to give it a go and on strike, and Kevin Knight obliged before taking Swerve Strickland to the canvas. Alright. Swerve Strickland is back. Yeah, Swerve Strickland is back up as he hits the ropes, but a jumping clothesline from the Jet takes him down hard. Swerve Strickland evades a splash from Kevin Knight before taking him out with a flatliner, but Kevin Knight dodges a house call for a splash and a cover for one. MJF is still watching on as Swerve Strickland gets back up, sending Kevin Knight to the corner before sending him up on the top turnbuckle. The two fight it out before Kevin Knight goes for a sunset flip powerbomb and lands it after Swerve Strickland literally fights it off. Covered by Kevin Knight after a DDT, but the former world champ kicks out. The fight heads to the apron, where Swerve Strickland takes Kevin Knight out with a Death Valley driver onto the hardest part of the ring. Justified. This is awesome. Chant as Swerve Strickland brings Kevin Knight to the barricade, looking for a pile driver and connecting with it as Kevin Knight ends up falling to the floor. Swerve Strickland takes a brief pause on his way back into the ring as the referee begins the count, reaching 9 and change before Kevin Knight leaps into the ring in applause from Swerve Strickland on the turnbuckle. He drops on Kevin Knight with a 450 splash before changing in a Dragon Sleeper on the Jet, who is trying his best to fight out of the hole. Both men get to a vertical base as Swerve Strickland takes Kevin Knight to the corner. They fight on the top turnbuckle to equally justify "Please be careful" chant from the crowd as Kevin Knight takes Swerve Strickland down with their hurricanrana from the top, coast to coast dropkick before Kevin Knight goes back up, landing a UFO splash before making the cover, only for Swerve Strickland to get his foot on the ropes to stop the pin. Kevin Knight is back up and lands a house call on Swerve Strickland, hosting him onto his shoulders before Swerve Strickland fights back, pump kick from both men, and they hit the ropes, but Swerve Strickland lands a house call on the Jet, followed by a bird breaker, bringing this match to an end with with big pressure as he takes the win. The winner by pinfall, Swerve Strickland. This match was fantastic. Swerve Strickland dedicate that to big pressure. RIP to big pressure. So that's all I gotta say. This was a good match between Swerve Strickland and Kevin Knight. Alright. And unpleased MJF can be seen looking from the stands as Swerve Strickland celebrates his win with the bring celebrate his win to bring AEW Dynamite to a close. But let me read you the quick results. Alright. Samoa Joe defeated Jet Speed Mike Bailey. Street Fight. The Death Riders, John Moxley, Daniel Garcia, and Real Yuta defeated the Don Callis family, Hex and Cyril, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero. This was a fun Street Fight match to watch. FTR, Dax, Harwood, and Cash Wheeler defeated Jordan, Oliver, and Alec Price. This was that match itself, the tag team match itself was average. And Kenny Omega defeated Josh Alexander. Pretty good match. Well, decent match, I'm sorry. Megan Bay and Penelope Ford defeated Thomas Love Bombs, Tony Storm, and Mina Sakura. This match was pretty good too. Swerve Strickland defeated Kevin Knight. That main event match was fantastic, and that's all I gotta say. And AEW Dynamite goes off the air. And let me give my honest opinion what I think about AEW Dynamite. Now AEW Dynamite was a fun show for what it was. And AEW Dynamite was a fun show for what it was, and that's all I gotta say from here. If you guys made it this far, if you guys made it through the entire video and enjoying my AEW Dynamite review highlights, give yourselves a round of applause. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content that I do on the channel, because I'm on the road to 12K subscribers before March. So help me get to 12K subscribers before March, and I'm tired of losing subscribers the next day. So I need y'all help to help me get to 12K subscribers before March, and that's all I gotta say from here. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my AEW Dynamite review on highlights. I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe and stay positive. Follow my social media down below in the description, and I will see you guys tomorrow live on Twitch for some Fortnite, and that's all I gotta say from here. I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe and stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang. And I'll see you guys on my upcoming world premiere tonight for my AEW Dynamite review on highlights at around 5 o'clock a.m. right here on YouTube. So have a great night. Stay safe and always stay positive. Kept your crew, kept your kings, kept your club. Too sweet. I'm out of here. Gang. Mwah. Bang. Too sweet. Gang.